All right, it is Wednesday. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. Welcome to ViaMonstra Academy Office Hours. I'm Johan. Andrew is Andrew. As always, we'll share some updates from our industry as well as open up for Q&A for questions. So, welcome everyone. And Andrew, how's your week been?
A blur, a blur. How about yours?
I survived. Clearly.
That's right. We're here. We can, as always, celebrate our halfway through the week mark. This is a good mark right here.
Yeah, 60%. Perfect.
Exactly. Other than that, doing well. Have a few things I came across over the last week that I thought would be worth sharing.
All
We
right
want
then.
to start there like usual.
All right, I'll share your screen then.
Perfect. First thing I wanted to call out is that we're starting to seems we're starting to ramp up on the speakers that are being announced for MMS Flamingo Edition coming up in October. Also seeing some fantastic, some of the staple attendees being announced as well. Some funny announcements coming out there. But the reason I bring that up is if you're on the fence about whether or not you're going to attend MMS Flamingo Edition in October, please go ahead and browse over to the website and recommend signing up before it sells out. I expect it will, like it did in May. At least I hope it will, as it should. So don't wait too long. I know a number of people that did last time and were sad about it, rightfully so. A couple of other things I came across on the technical side of things. Blog post from Peter Klapvik on getting notifications of missing devices in Windows Update for Business reports. So there was a missing devices feature that was added to Windows Update for Business reports that we've talked about over the last couple of weeks. But Peter has a nice write-up here in how you can utilize that data from Log Analytics and build an Azure Logic app to actually notify you of those devices that are missing. So great content here. If this is something, if you're utilizing Windows Update for Business reports widely in your organization, which I recommend, I'm a fan of this solution thus far. I would give this a look as well, so you can stay on top of those missing devices, figure out how to get them back in to the reports. I just lost my notes there. There we go. Sorry. A couple of other articles I found actually are coming from Microsoft. So this first one here, Lior Bella wrote a couple of days ago, and this post just goes through some of the various Intune resources that you can find from Microsoft, how to access them, how to browse through them. So a couple of different categories here. This first one is I want to focus on a particular scenario, and this page will guide you to the documentation for that scenario. We also have some demos here that they've made available and how you can basically help your end users here. So getting the company portal app and trying to communicate that to your users. There were some new templates added to the Intune adoption kit to help you communicate the use of Intune to your users. So always helpful there where we have some of that done for us already. And then just some additional documentation, the general Microsoft Intune documentation here, and some of the community pages that Microsoft runs also mentioned here. So recommend checking this out. Keep it bookmarked. This is a number of great resources from Microsoft themselves. And then our friend Harjit over at Microsoft also put together a nice blog post yesterday on myths and misconceptions on upgrading to Windows 11. I thought this was a fantastic post. Johan and I have both been talking a lot about upgrading to Windows 11. The clock is now ticking quite rapidly on that front. So Harjit goes through a number of those misconceptions that may or may not be preventing your organization from moving forward to Windows 11. Absolutely recommend reading through this. It's a pretty quick read, but Harjit really nails some of the common perceived pain points that I think we're hearing. So thank you for writing this up, Harjit. And we'll get these links posted up on the YouTube channel later today. But that's what I had. Johan, do you have some things as well?
I do. First up is, let me share my screen for a second. Here we go. Just a quick announcement, or rather a retweet. Jason Sanders shared that the ConfigRefresh is now generally available, or GA, and looking forward to try that one out. I haven't had a chance to play around with it much yet, but it does require that you are somewhat updated. So either the second wave of updates from May, or you have to wait until 6B, which is available today, until that one becomes deployed in your organization, depending on your rings and whatnot. Then I stumbled across another tweet from Leor. I don't remember if we shared this one before, but I haven't seen them before, so I figured I would share it anyway. They released an intro video that in turn led to more videos. It's a Journey to the Cloud video series from some of the MVPs and other admins out there that has been basically they're sharing their journey to Intune. So I highly recommend take a look at these. They were not too long, each of the videos, 5-10 minutes long, so you can go through it at reasonably quick at least. And finally, Phil Wilcock, that works at Two Pint together with me and a bunch of others. We released a new blog post this morning that catches up some of the challenges around delivery optimization at the moment. We have seen an unfortunate trend throughout the entire year, more or less, that peering efficiency has been dropping. And it turns out that Microsoft is changing a few things on their end, on the new applications that we thought would be obviously peering its content, but they turn out they didn't. And one of these applications is to, maybe not a big surprise, but we had one company we work with where non-peerable content was responsible for about 30 terabytes of over 3 days. And it was the new Microsoft Teams clients coming down together with the Teams updates. They can currently not be peered. They can currently not be cached. So that was fun.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah.
That's allowed. Is that something that providing feedback to Microsoft is helpful to where they enable that content to be peered?
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of data.
Yeah, that
Anyway,
is a lot.
Yeah, so the blog post goes through some more details on content that is not peerable at all. And of course, that will drive down content a bit. And we're also working on publishing a second part of this blog post around updated guidance for the policies. The good old guidance is still valid, but there are some additional things that you can do to make it even better. And the rumors are that also our friends over at Team Cloudway are working on something like this as well, to be shared on Friday, if I read Maurice's tweet correctly there. So that was all I had at the moment. Figured it would be useful to share. Now, do we have any questions?
At the moment, just so far, good afternoon from Michael over on YouTube, and thank you for being here. Thank you to us for being here and answering questions.
Well, of
Absolutely,
course. Thank you for joining. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Michael. Oh, we've got a comment here from Dan. Thanks for joining, Dan. I have
Again?
been yes again. I have been complaining to our Microsoft rep about them releasing versions of Teams that are not yet published on their release notes page as existing. Yes, good. I don't know if you've gotten any feedback from the rep. would would be useful to know as well. But absolutely, I think the providing that feedback is important. I have noticed the new teams, not surprisingly, by the way, the new teams, I'm seeing the update button show up a lot more frequently than I did on the old teams.
Yep. But on the good side, at least now you can somewhat easily switch between different accounts. I value that part. Took a while, but it's there and it's quick. It certainly beats logging out and logging in to a Teams client.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. I'm very happy to see that improvement.
Yeah.
I would say in general, I've had a pretty good experience with the new client. Have you as well?
Well, in the early days, I had some troubles with it. Couldn't find messages that were sent on the classic client, and just didn't understand that it was cached. It was like a different cache or something. But
Mm.
since then, yeah, it's been pretty good.
All right, good, good. All right, looks like we got a couple of questions coming in here. So we've got one from over on Twitter. Why is Microsoft dropping support for MDT when the footprint out there is so big? Not everyone is going to Intune or SCCM.
Yeah, as to why, I I don't know. I am incredibly sad that they are doing it. I'm incredibly sad that Microsoft haven't been paying any attention to MDT since years back, because it is a great deployment solution. Still to this day, it's a great deployment solution. And why they decided not to completely continue to fund it, I have no idea. My best guess is that they want to drive people to use ConfigMgr for imaging. It's a paid service, a paid product. But yeah, I don't know.
All right. Um, so I've got a comment here from Michael. It looks like a scenario that he's running into. After Autopilot, technicians are leaving computers on the Reseal screen, sometimes overnight. The result is that Microsoft appears to take over. When end users eventually get these computers, they cannot log on. Um,
Yeah, so that is the pre-provisioning scenario that used to be called white glove back in the days.
hmm.
I haven't tried leaving it overnight, so I haven't seen any type of behavior. Um, but that's something we definitely can look into. Um, I can probably find some hardware I can deploy Windows to.
You might have something.
They have something. Yeah. Let's see. I must scribble down a note here real quick.
Sounds good.
Test pre-provisioning, but leave overnight in Reseal.
And Michael just followed up there trying to find a way to shut down automatically.
Well, that is that is not too terrible. one of the apps that you deploy can just schedule a task that does a shutdown. It will shut off the machine or turn off the device. That would be doable. Like the last of the Win32 apps, create a scheduled task that reboots or shuts down the computer in 3 minutes.
That's pretty clever, I must say.
Well, I have done similar things when we were doing imaging, and we provided policies that required an extra reboot after the one reboot. So
Sure.
the last step of the sequence would be to schedule a task that would reboot after 3 minutes. I figured this would be something similar.
Yeah, makes sense.
What's a little bit challenging with pre-provisioning is that you cannot test it in virtual machines. You need physical devices. Funny enough, I got it to work one time in the VM, even though it's not supposed to work in VMs. It worked. I don't know why, but I was happy.
Yeah, exactly. I remember that. Oh, that's too funny. All right. Tim is asking, does the servicing feature of the operating system work consistently in ConfigMgr? Looking for deploying an up-to-date WIM for Windows 11.
All right, so I can share some of that. So in ConfigMgr, if you do sync updates here, so either the UUP type updates and enablement packages included in those, or the old school feature update packages for Windows 10, they are not updated WIM files typically. They are ESD files, they're a little bit smaller, but they're usually a few months behind. But this is what's being used when you do servicing plans, if you have any servicing plans. If you want to use WIM files, you have to use sequences. So basically, create your upgrade packages or Windows 11, and then do, well, upgrade sequences here, because that will allow you to specify either a WIM file or an ESD file. So if I go to one of my upgrade sequences here, this is where you specify either the upgrade package, the WIM file itself, including the setup exit components and all the other fun stuff, or you can specify a feature update package from that class that has been downloaded. Worth noting is that if you do this approach here, it will take longer because the images are older. They have to be updated on the fly dynamically. And I did a post back in, good Lord, a few years back. I was testing performance differences, comparing those type of packages with regular WIM packages, and just to see how it behaved differently for in-place upgrades. And what I learned back then was that even though the packages were indeed smaller, but it took longer because it had to download and install half a gig of dynamic updates as part of that process. So a slimmed down version of an image using OS Builder in this case, it was almost half the time, not quite, but close to half of the time deployment. So it was faster. So I still like to use sequences and regular upgrade packages rather than the upgrade classification, but both will work. A shameless plug, of course. We have an upcoming masterclass on the Academy for upgrading, where we spend 4 days going through every possible upgrade type you can imagine. including MDT, even though it's not officially supported, but folks are still using it, so we'll cover it. So highly recommend that one. Yeah, that was my answer to that one.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Dennis is asking over on YouTube, have you guys had decent luck using the M365 Apps Admin Center to keep Office on a consistent build? We've not had much luck with that. So I can take that one, Johan.
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Let's share your screen.
Sure, I can at least show. I don't have a lot going on in my lab for this, but I'll show what the context is here.
Yes, sir.
So if you are in the M365 Admin Center and you go into Health Software Updates, you can get to this section, which will lead you to the Microsoft 365 Apps Admin Center. I like to point this method out because from what I've seen, this is really the only way that this Admin Center is really advertised. Although you may be familiar with the config.office.com website that the admin center is running from, because that's where you can do your customization, config.xmls and things like that. Anyways, once we are in the M365 Apps Admin Center, we can set up policies basically to ensure that our devices are staying up to date. So this is changing a little bit right now. You can see there's this cloud update section that's coming up, but that's still in preview. Where we want to go, let's see, in our inventory here, this will show the number of devices in your organization that are actually checking into the M365 Apps Admin Center. For devices to show up here for the first time, the device will have had to launch an Office app within, I believe, the last 30 days. And then devices also go away after a certain amount of inactivity as well. But essentially, the way that this is configured today, all of the devices will be upgraded to the current channel, I believe, either the current or the monthly enterprise channel. And this is why I mentioned that is this is what's changing here. This cloud update feature that's coming is allowing you to determine which Microsoft 365 apps for enterprise channel your devices are using for updates. In the past, it's just been the one channel that could be used once you configured this policy. But from my view, once this has been brought up and configured, absolutely devices started updating well as long as they had good connectivity to the internet. That's one of the prereqs, of course, because that's where the updates are coming from, the Office CDN. But many of you, if you've joined here before, have heard I've said the same thing about moving to Windows Update for Business. So it could be that some of the organizations I've been working with have just had a lot of luck moving to those services. I've had enough luck with this that for me, it's sort of become the de facto recommendation on how to update and control and manage the inventory of M365 apps in the organization. In terms of troubleshooting why that wouldn't happen, why there would be a challenge there, we'd have to start diving into it a little bit more, I think. But there's not much to it, really. Enroll the device into the M365 Apps Admin Center by allowing it to upload its inventory information, and from there, I haven't had to do much with it. To be quite honest, it's mostly just worked. So, if there are any specifics or anything that might be able to help me guide you towards some troubleshooting, please share. But it's worked pretty well in my experience so far. All right. Jamie has a question here. We are thinking of trying to get ARM working with MDT LiteTouch. Are we crazy? Oh, I think you're muted.
I think you're right. Now, I wouldn't say crazy, but it currently does not work one bit. Um, I can show a little bit because I did play around with it a little bit earlier. But you can, with a good bit of will, you can shoehorn in an ARM image into the workbench. It is that flexible, but you have to edit the operating system XML file manually. The challenge is that there is no boot image creation for ARM available. It's only 32-bit and 64-bit WinPE. And even if you create your own boot image, as you do, and smack in all the ARM components, whatever that you need. I think I have a different one for ARM specifically. Yeah, this one that I was using to create an ARM one. And I added in the components, including the new 64-bit emulator. The MDT binaries, they did not like that one bit. So the sequence engine did not run correctly. So I doubt it. And you definitely would have to rewrite a lot of the MDT scripts because they would definitely not look for ARM64 components. I would recommend looking into something else for ARM deployments. Software that I work for part-time, we are working on a deployment solution that will support ARM. David Segura and Gary Block, they just got, or just like 2 months back, they got the cloud to work with ARM deployments. So if you just need to apply an image quickly, I would recommend starting there. Another option is, of course, use ConfigMgr. ConfigMgr, starting with 2403, has full support for ARM. So you can add in your ARM images just fine. Create your ARM sequences or sequences that deploy ARM. The sequence engine supports ARM through emulation. It's still a 64-bit sequence. I did put up a blog post, whenever that was. A step-by-step guide here on how to deploy ARM using ConfigMgr. I have an older one, how to do it Jurassic style with just a Powershell script. That works also, even though not very elegant, but it does do the job. Let's see, there was a comment on that script is available on GitHub. No, but I know a guy. This was the script, and well, here is my GitHub, or some of it. And I have an ARM deployment folder. Why not?
That's right. That's a good attitude to have right there. Why not?
Yeah, the script is up on GitHub.
Fresh.
Fresh, yeah, super fresh. I will put the link in the comments below.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And some thank yous in the chat here as well.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So we've got a question here, and then a couple of comments and questions back on the M365 Apps Admin Center. First one here that we have over on YouTube: any top secret intel on when we might get Intune filters for installed software or dynamic group queries for such, using ConfigMgr collection sync, but need need that natively for if when we're ready for Intune only.
No. At least I haven't heard any. The closest you guys will have, it's the what's in development page. Most of the stuff that you will see here usually shows up in between 1 or 2 months in one of the Intune releases. However, it's not a guarantee that just because it's here, it will show up in 2 months. But historically, the chances are good.
Definitely a page to keep an eye out on.
Yeah.
I thought I saw there was an update there this week that was seemed to be celebrated by quite a few. I think device cleanup rules will be able to be set on a platform basis, whereas today the device cleanup rules are after a device is inactive for X amount of days, clean up the device.
I don't see anything on this page. Or was it on the What's New page?
No, because I think it was targeted for December.
Ah, okay, never mind.
See if I can find it real quick, though, because it's called, try cleanup 2 words.
Well, I searched for clean and didn't show me anything.
Maybe it just showed up somewhere else. Oh, it's on the Microsoft 365 roadmap. It's not on the in development.
Well, get me the link and I'll be happy to share it. Or I can share your screen if you have it open.
Yes, let's just, if you want to share my screen, I've got it up.
There you go. Yeah.
So this is another page to check, though. Apparently, I would not be surprised if the page that you were just showing is updated with this soon. But the Microsoft 365 roadmap page as well is a useful one to see what's coming up. So, yeah, it looks like we're getting a preview, or some tenants are getting a preview. It's not clear based on just this page, but these are the kinds of things, to your point of showing that page, Johan, these are the kinds of things that we'll see show up in there. You just triggered a tweet or something that I came across earlier this week was all.
All right. Excellent.
Yes. All right. So a couple of questions I think I mentioned on the M365 Apps Admin Center. So the first one is, does it have scoping or role-based access control options for use in shared tenants? That I have not come across in that specific admin center. But I'll take a look. I might be assigning myself a little bit of homework for next week based on how much we're talking about the M365 Apps Admin Center today. But I have not come across any RBAC or scoping for that. I will correct myself if I find out I'm wrong.
I mean, other options is to deploy Microsoft apps or Office. I still call them Office.
Yeah.
As a Win32 app. We have showcased that quite a few times.
Yep.
Here on the office hours, our friends over at MS Endpoint Manager, they have a really nice blog post covering that one. So that is an option.
Yeah, and then exactly, and then you can control the updating, or at least what channel you're on and everything, just through a configuration profile, or that config.xml that is installed in the Win32 app can do that as well.
Yeah, and that platform obviously has RBAC.
Yes.
Because that's like core Intune stuff.
Exactly. All right, yeah, and that's sort of what this comment I think was here. Probably since you're managing the app and not really managing the device in this case. Yep. There are also a couple of other comments here based on Dennis's issue that he was seeing with it earlier. So Russell over on YouTube is sharing that they actually had a ConfigMgr related registry entry that was blocking updating from the cloud channel. Ran a couple of scripts to change the registry, and he did share that reg key in the latest comment up at the top. If you want to pop that up on the screen, Johan.
I should be able to.
That might beat me just saying an entire registry key path. Quick, write it down. I'm going to say it as quickly as possible and make it a fun game. There we go. Look at that.
Yeah, took me a while to find it.
No, all good. Thanks for sharing that. And thank you, Russell, for sharing in the chat as well. All right. I did want to go back to, I missed a question earlier from Richard over on LinkedIn, looking for some ideas before contacting Microsoft support. I have 2 automatic deployment rules that have run perfectly for years. Then the last 2 months, they just fail to run. No errors, just appear to never start. And he did follow up that in the rule engine log, 2 rule IDs showed next occurrence 12/31/1969. Can this be reset, or is a rebuild of the ADR recommended?
It's either that or do some serious time traveling, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know where you reset that date. I have not seen that. I would just create a new ADR.
Yeah.
And see if that solved the problem. I mean, you have the old one you can compare with. It's straightforward. Never thought of it. I sure wonder if there's a copy option of ADRs. I was just creating them. There is not a copy option of an ADR.
Yeah, that's a shame. But at least, like you mentioned, I mean, pull out the, take a screenshot or something of these, the software update configuration, the collections that it's deployed to, and hopefully pretty straightforward to just recreate it. Probably use a bit of PowerShell as well, because you can grab a new AD or grab an existing ADR and then create a new one with PowerShell.
That you can do. No, Trevor had a post about that years ago. I also did one also years ago. How to create them from scratch using PowerShell. That was a lot of parameters on that commandlet. It was like 40 or something.
I remember that one. Looks a little something like this.
Yeah, and that one needs to be updated because that was like ConfigMgr old.
Yeah. Yeah, you wrote this back in 2015.
Yeah, I said old. 9 years ago. What are the odds that will work right now? Slim.
Pretty good inspiration, though, I must say.
All right, thank you, sir. Then I probably will bet on Trevor's post first because that one was from 2019.
Let's see if I can find that one real quick.
He has it on his SMS agent thing. Yeah.
Still quite a few parameters.
Yeah, but a little bit less. So maybe they have improved that.
So, Richard, we'll make sure to post these links as well. Hopefully, that will get you going a little faster.
No, that was a deployment. That was not the actual
Oh,
ADR. That's
yes.
why it was shorter.
Right. So, let's see. We got a search around here. We do.
I think it was only for the deployment.
Okay.
Scrap that. My bad. All right. Anything else out there?
Make sure I haven't missed anything.
Oh, what do you know? Uh, Let me steal the screen for a sec.
All right.
Found a post from Jason Sandys. Simple enough. So simply use these guys here. So haven't tried it, but worth a go.
There you go. All right. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Good find. Got a question over on Twitter that just came in. If I have Autopilot all set up and working, is it worth looking into V2? Does it gain me much?
Long answer. Oh, sorry, short answer, yes. Long answer, it depends. It only is supported on Windows 11. So, kind of depends on what you are doing Autopilot for. But I haven't had a chance to play around with it much, but I have been following a few folks that have done it. And what I've seen so far is night and day difference in performance. Like going through a complete enrollment in like less than 20 minutes, whereas the old version is easily 45 minutes. So if performance is of interest and the ability not having to pre-stage devices and use corporate device identifiers instead, I will definitely recommend learning it, looking into it. And they work side by side. It's not like you are banning one for the other.
Right. So I think from what we've seen, we know that this essentially new profile type will just see continued improvements in it. So getting to know it and learn it now is not a bad thing.
Yeah, as always, Rudy has already written a few blog posts. We shared a few the other week as well. And Michael Niehaus as well. Also been writing a bunch of thoughts on this new profile.
Yep. Steve Weiner over at Get Rubix too did a whole
Oh yeah,
4-video series, I think. Real good stuff. That was definitely Definitely been a hot topic the last 2 weeks, that's for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, fun stuff.
Mhm. Never a dull moment in our little part of the industry, that's for sure.
But that keeps you on the edge, on your toes, however the saying goes.
That's right.
I do not see any other questions coming in at the moment.
No, I think we've caught up with everything for now.
Well, all right then. Andrew, always thank you so much joining, and everybody out there, thanks for sending us great questions. I did see a question coming in though just now because of it. Have you tried disabling Chrome browser notifications using a configuration profile? I have not. That's something you have done?
No, sir.
There seemed to be a notepad. You can share that one. Let's see. I have no idea if it's worked or not because I haven't tried it. But Anoop, he knows his stuff.
Mhm.
And it's a fairly updated one. And it was actually not Anoop, it was on Anoop's blog. It was Suyen that posted it. But there seemed to be a notification blocker option in the configuration profile. So, it's even in the settings catalog, even better. Yeah.
Excellent.
So, yeah, try that one out. Let's see if it works.
Yeah. Good find, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Just another follow-up question here on Autopilot V2. Have you tested enrolling devices yet? I have not yet. Just simply haven't had time the last week. Been more digesting a lot of the other content.
Yeah, same here. Same here. But that's, guess that's our homework for next week then.
Indeed. Something we needed to do anyways, so it's a good
That's,
reason to do it.
yeah. All right. Joe's apartment is asking updating drivers on clients by clicking check for updates, but do it through sequence or Powershell. The way I deal with driver updates using sequences is simply having those as packages created in config manager, whatever those packages are, and then I would have a very 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 short sequence that will run that script, but I would use it with the driver update parameter rather than the other options. And this works well. It won't trigger the one that is in the Windows Update agent, but it will do it here. If you just want to test a single device quickly, that is a really old, or old, is relative, I guess, but there is some ad hoc tool. Is it Will Manager, maybe? Yeah, this one. Written by David, available as a free executable. It will show you all the updates that are available, including drivers, and it will install them. So maybe that.
Right.
See that Mr. Mike is joining. Or maybe he's
Yes.
working here all the time. You never know.
Yeah, I noticed he was asking if we've experienced the double mouse click issue on Windows 11 24H2.
I have not. The number of 24A2s I deployed are less than 5, and I haven't stumbled across any
Yeah,
double
same.
mouse click issues. There was an interesting update about 24H2 though, and I think actually it was Mike that shared that update, if memory serves me well.
So I wasn't dreaming that. All right.
No, I don't think you were. See if I can find it.
I think I've got it here on the original announcement page.
Right.
If you want to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Would it be that bit of news right there?
That was the one. That was the one. Mike tweeted about it earlier this week.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with recall or anything like that. At least that's the rumor.
I kind of have a hard time seeing that they would withdraw the entire preview because of a double mouse click issue.
Yeah.
But for security reasons, absolutely, yes, that could be a valid option.
100%.
All right. Well, let's try again then. Thank you everyone for joining. As always, great questions, great comments. We appreciate it. And we hope to see you again back next Wednesday. Same time, same channel. Until then, have a great one.
Absolutely. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, everybody else. Have a great rest of your week.